Good evening, afternoon, night, morning, whenever you find a way to watch or listen to this podcast. It's me, Omar Ashanti Bora, the Burger Popper, and I'm joined by a very special and unexpected guest, honestly. Shout out to Brian Govin for beginning his series on just like remembering guys that played like in the past. I mean, like that's honestly like part of the reason for being on X Twitter, just like talking about college football, talking about like players in the past. And his first player in this series, I'm surprised he had any reservations about doing that series and just like talking about like these past players. And the first player that he mentioned was an Air Force great, Chance Harridge. And I was telling Chance before, like, I remember as a kid crying on the couch, 2009 Army Navy game. Ricky Dobbs had just broken the record, and they showed on TV a graphic of the single season record setters for most rushing touchdowns by a quarterback. And you see Ricky Dobbs, you see a picture of Ricky Dobbs, you see a picture of Tim Tebow, and you see a picture of Chance Harridge. And man, almost 16 years later, it's just surreal. God is good, just being able just to, carry on with this in my free time. And I'm not saying I'm anyone big, but God just works in a mysterious ways and just like bringing people's paths together for for kind of full circle moments. But enough of a lead. And I'm joined by Chance Harridge, record setting quarterback for the Air Force Academy in the early 2000s. Chance, thanks for coming on, and I'm just glad you're just so gracious and everything. Just to set this up.
Omar, thanks. Thanks for having me. Like you said, God works in mysterious ways, and that article by Brian was pretty. It was pretty special. Just a quick reminder. It's like, oh man, the older I get, you know, I'm a dinosaur in today's game. And then you saw that. Well, I got that sent to me by my offensive coordinator, who's the O coordinator at Carson Newman, and he's like, "Love you, buddy." So like my coaches, I still talk to and keep in touch with, sent me the article. And of course, this is how we met. You're just like, hey, I love to talk to you. And I'm like, sure, it would be great just to talk ball or whatever. And here we are. So I'm glad to be here and glad to be on the show.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. I mean, I know it's late, so I'm glad that you are a night owl too, because I like to just do things late. It's better for my wife and everything too. So I know she enjoys it. Watching her Korean drama right now while I do this. But to start things off, Chance, I had the very basic question. Of course, anytime we interview, like, or I guess I've interviewed players, like, oh, like, why'd you choose this school? So what brought you to the Air Force Academy? I know we talked about it before, but I guess now that we're live, like, what brought you to the Air Force Academy?
Uh, you're going to laugh when I say this. I had no idea that I was going to play college football. I'm from Warner Robins, Georgia, Middle Georgia area. Pretty known for football. Warner Robins High School, Northside High School, and I went to Houston County. We are kind of new kids on the block. Split the talent pool up in the Middle Georgia area, and gosh, in the mid '90s. And I ended up at the county school. My head coach played at the Citadel, and his position coach happened to be the defensive coordinator at the Air Force Academy going into my senior year. My tailback from high school, Ernest Sims, 4-year starter at Kentucky, and he was being recruited by everyone, and that was before social media. So when all the coaches start showing up to practices, you're just like, "Oh, what's going on here?" I was a good baseball guy, had some baseball opportunities, and that's what I thought was going to happen. We had a pretty decent season my senior year. I was myself and two guys I grew up with. We were 4-year starters in football. I played running back, I kicked, played quarterback my sophomore year. I started for 4 years. Ernest started for 4 years, and a kid named Andy Bennett started for 4 years. So played a lot of football. I was probably a better safety than quarterback, and it's just how it worked out. Uh, a team up the road got the triple option kind of like involved in our offense. It's like a crazy small world. I learned about all this stuff later in life, but how things like worked out. Well, my high school head coach reached out to the academy guys and said, "Hey, we might have a kid down here y'all are interested in." And again, I had no clue about the recruiting process, nothing like that. And next thing I know, I'm talking to the guys at the Air Force Academy. And of course, that's the '98 year, the year they go 12-1. So they finished top 10 in the country. All right. I'm being recruited by absolutely nobody. Here comes Coach DeBerry sitting in my office. "Chance, we want you to play quarterback." And I'm sitting here going, It's a top 10 school in the country coming over here telling me they want me to play quarterback, and everybody else in the SEC and ACC world's like, we'll take you as like a walk on, maybe. And I'm like, I mean, I'll go take a peek at it. All right. And there's a guy by the name of Ryan Finnan, Finn Dog, and another kid that I grew up with, ended up at the academy. I kind of got the rundown, and that's how I got introduced to the Air Force Academy, was through my high school head coach. So the idea that this is like where I wanted to go, it was unbelievable. Like, hey, we want you to come play quarterback. Top 10 school. The only problem that I had, it was in Colorado Springs. I'm a mama's boy. It was in Colorado. I had to leave and go west of the Mississippi, and then they talked to me about having to go to the prep school, and that was a hard sell because my math at 18 years old is, well, I got to do 5 years at school, and 5 years I'm going to be gone from my mama and dad and middle Georgia for 10 years. Maybe I'll get stationed at Robbins, and off we went. And I said I'm going to go play football at the Air Force Academy.
Well, shoot. I mean, I think it's great to hear the story, I guess, like of how recruiting, I guess, used to be before like social media, before huddle rivals and everything. So that's refreshing to hear, and it's also refreshing to hear, I guess, the homesickness. That's definitely something that I dealt with. I would never admit it to like any of my classmates at all or anything, but it's like it's tough. It definitely is tough the first couple of years.
Well, the homesick is real, and I say that it. That's what makes the place special. All three of the service, there's kids from all over. And I was a small town USA guy. Robbins Air Force Base in Warner Robins. Everybody's like, "Oh, you're a military guy," and I'm like, "No, man. My parents are school teachers. We lived out in the country. I went to both my grandma's houses. It's like real simple. And it's like, well, I'm gonna get yanked out of this, and I'm not going to lie to you. My mom will tell you even to this day, all she waited for was me to be like, Mom, I need you to come get me. I'm coming home. And she wanted that call to happen, and it never came in 5 years. And I mean, it was easier said than done. I'll just tell you that.
Yeah, I mean, shoot. I mean, it was tough at times. I was like, man, like my thing was like, I don't know how I'm gonna pay for college if I leave. The homesickness. I'm like, I don't know how I'm gonna pay for college. So
Yeah,
that's good.
luckily, oh well, I can tell you how I got over on that one. That conversation happened. I think we had a kid that I went to the prep school with. We called him, the haves or the have-nots, and he was more of a have type, and he could have gone to school anywhere, but his mom and dad wanted him to go to school, and he was the type of kid, that could have left, and mom and dad could have paid for everything. He ended up graduating with me, but we all sat around, and that realization came to us, like, look, man, like, I'm doing my parents like a favor, this, and that was a lot of us, and it was like, well, where else am I going to go? And then we're pretty fortunate, as a prep school guy, and they had the program back in days where they had the lieutenants around, and of course, so all those guys that had won the WAC championship, they were all our coaches, and they just told us point blank, they're like, get over yourself, and once you like figure out that like this is your place and where you're going to school and buy into it, like that was like our rule. They're gonna have to drag my ass out of here. Like I'm here, and I'm here for the long haul, and we're gonna make the most of it. And it was, I mean, I can almost remember when that happened, and that was right before probably like Thanksgiving, and at that point the homesickness went away. I mean, I'm not saying like you miss your folks, you miss all that, and it's like I'm at school here. Nobody held a gun to my head and made me come out here. Let's try to make the most of this opportunity and just see what happens. And that, again, time takes time, right? And that's here we are.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't happen overnight, like you say, like it doesn't happen overnight. I mean, but at some point, like I guess a switch clicks or whatever. A switch clicks. Trying to get my words right. Switch clicks, and then you just realize like this is where I'm meant to be and everything, and just gets you through. So can definitely relate to that. So I guess going on to your career, Chance. So again, this is another like cookie cutter question. I bet this will go in a whole bunch of other directions. I know we talked a little bit about some of your in-game experiences before going live, but like, what was the favorite moment of your career?
Oh man, favorite moment of my career. Um, oh, there's so many. There's a handful. Probably like the most. I'm trying to think like arrived moment or whatever else. Like whenever like you could play. Was probably like my first game against. It was probably the most humbling. So like my freshman year, I got injured, whatever, and then spring had a great spring, and I left spring ball my freshman year as the number one quarterback going into the fall, right? And I lost the starting job to Keith Boyer because I couldn't differentiate between a 4-3 shade eagle, an 8-man front, and a 7-man front, and that's like what it came down to. So I was thinking and not playing. Well, we're opening up with Oklahoma, and probably one of my most like memorable moments was Coach Peterson at the time. We had like a bolt program. Guys, underclassmen, if they practice real well, they dress with the varsity and all this. Well, I'm the second string quarterback, or maybe third string going in. It doesn't matter. I'm on the school bus. We're playing, and Chuck's like, "Well, be ready. You might have might get in or whatnot." And we're opening up against defending national champs Oklahoma. And anyway, we're walking down. We're at the dinner table, pre-game meal or what have you. And I looked at Coach Pierce. I was like, this is my first time in Falcon Stadium, and he was like, "Wait, what?" And we laugh about that to this day, like as being like one of the most memorable moments. Is like before it even got started, and they're like, we were going to start you against someone, and this like it just added on to like more of it. And Coach Peterson and I laugh about that to this day because it has like nothing to do with like any play or anything. And you should have seen the look of his face of being like, "Oh my God!" Like we were going to do this to him. Like that's a pretty special moment. Uh, Another one. They're always fun. Like there's so much going on, like in a game, like in inside the huddle, and I think that's what I miss the most. I remember one time we were playing New Mexico at home, and I think we went on like one of these standard service academy drives. Like we went like 20 plays. It was 2 yards, maybe 3 yards in a cloud of dust, and they couldn't stop it. And it was like early in September, and it was like 95 degrees at Falcon Stadium. I am absolutely gassed. I'm like, I want to call a timeout. All of the linemen, everyone's gassed, and the coaches are screaming at us. And anyway, just the conversation in the huddle, and we're like, can we call a timeout? They're like, absolutely not. If y'all are tired, these guys are tired too. And then like, so we keep marching. We go score, and whatever we scored, like usually you go and celebrate, like everybody. Nobody celebrated the touchdown. Everybody ran their ass off the field and got over there and started getting on oxygen because everybody was so tired. That was pretty cool. Uh, I'll say this because didn't win it. My senior year we lost to Navy at FedEx Field. Army and Navy, those are tough games. Playing against Notre Dame was probably the most memorable. And I say that only because this was back in the BCS era. So now, trying to break in and get into the playoffs and all that. The computer rankings were getting ready to come out. We played Notre Dame. Of course, it's the year you're talking about, the record setting year. And it was like larger than life. That was probably I've had it told to me from a couple different guys within the programs now. I'll keep their names quiet, but it was probably like the highest the program had been was like when Marcello, a prep school kid of mine, whenever we went up 7-0 against Notre Dame on national television, because at that time the potential of BCS busting was going to be real. Had a favorable schedule down the stretch, and I mean I'll tell you this, and I'm sure the guys at all three of the schools would say the same thing. Whenever we start believing, like we had doubt, were we really that good? And like that little bit of doubt, still I'm not going to say it haunts me to today, but it's real because it was a little overwhelming. Two undefeated teams. It was the last time two undefeated teams had met. There was a little bit of Heisman talk. So now all of a sudden, you go from being like this underdog and people are expecting things from you. So, like, where it was kind of like a highlight of my career, it's also like a pivot point because then the doubt sets in. Are we really this good? Are we not? Okay, we're mortal. We lose three in a row. But that Notre Dame experience, not only for the career but for the academy, like really kind of cemented like in the early 2000s that this program's the real deal. And it was just unbelievable to be a part of it. Coach DeBerry. I was his special kid. I broke the mold of his quarterbacks. We have an unbelievable relationship to this day. First ballot Hall of Famer. My coaches are relationships. So I mean, again, I could sit here and talk hours. For like highlight moments, but any service academy quarterback will tell you like they'll have like their moment where they feel like, oh, I've arrived and I know I can play at this level, and that happened. BYU again. My sophomore year, I scored my first college touchdown in Provo, Utah, and Boye got hurt about halfway through the third quarter. So like I'm like the backup, and I'm like, oh shit, man, I've got like 9 or 10 minutes left in the third quarter, and we've got a whole fourth quarter. All right. Well, at that time, like we started playing a lot of the game had started to get away, so we started playing younger guys. Well, BYU had their first string defense in, and we marched up and down the field against those guys, right? And so you're like, all right, we can play like we're gonna be okay, kind of deal. But like for me myself, that was like a big confidence boost to be like, all right, I think I know you go from thinking to being like, all right, I can really play at this level because I'm a 5'10". I mean, we're being gracious at 185 pounds, like all these kinds of things. But that was probably, I'd say that's what kicked it off was, for my career, at the academy, scoring your first touchdown, and I was blessed and fortunate enough I scored a few. But that first one in Provo is pretty special. I mean, I can still remember the call. It was right 6 key park and the Red Sea parts, and I scored from like 6 yards out. So there you go.
Man, it's funny. It's funny hearing you talk about your first touchdown because for me, I guess I only played high school, right? And I played defense, but I mean I was a scout team running back, and I can remember both times I scored in the scout team. Touchdowns are special. Like touchdowns are special, even if it's in practice. For the first time I scored, it was like, I mean, I guess the linebacker, our starting linebacker, just left the middle open, and I ran a seam route, and I caught it, and I remember pausing because he was like the hardest hitter on the team. You can see me on film, just like brace, and then I land on my feet, and I look around, I just ran for a practice touchdown. But it's just great just hearing like the little things like the first touchdown being so special. Just uh, you know, I
I mean,
mean,
I know to play for crying out loud still, like what
yeah.
it is. All right. I mean, I can go like also like nobody and nobody cares or nobody knows this, but this is like again small ball and the margin of error, and they call it the game of inches. It's college football. Fast forward a couple years, senior year, we get in a dogfight. We're down 18 points against Utah, and then we get into triple overtime. So then before Tim Tebow does his little jump pass and everything, and he wins the Heisman Trophy, Coach Meyer and the Urban Express is at Utah, and that's how they beat us in triple overtime. Well, it was with the jump pass to Ben Moa, and anyway, it was in the third overtime. And when I say the game of inches, if we beat Utah that afternoon, all we had to do was go on the road and win one of our last two games. There was going to be like a three-way tie for first place in the Mountain West. Okay, well, this is what haunts me still, and I still remember this. So we're in third overtime. We were down 18 in the fourth quarter. Come back, tie it up. We get the overtime, and it's just a slugfest, right? Like I mean, it's an awesome game now. Like it's back and forth. No one can stop anyone, and we have to go for it. We scored right away, and third overtime, we had to go for it, and of course, we run split 39-5. I cut off of my inside foot. The safety got over the top. I mean, all I had to do was plant with my left leg, and I walk in because I cut off my inside foot, my right foot, and I go to stretch out the ball, and I almost get to the goal line, and like don't get the 2 points. They get the 2 points. They win. We don't have a chance for the conference title, and then and that's how it is. But what do I know, man? All the things, all the things.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting to hear you talk about the 2002 team because I did have this for later on, but I guess the flow kind of came to it. So the 2023 Air Force team, I mean, they start out 8-0. I actually attended just for fun. I attended the Sam Houston game that year, just like seeing a service academy play at an NFL stadium. Just it's great in general. It's great for for all three of the programs at the FBS level, all three of the academies, Army, Air Force, and Navy. And I feel like a lot of people compared that 2023 team to the 2002 team with its 8-0 start. We won't mention what happened in Mile High because I mean, shoot, that was one of the best days of my life, honestly. like
Oh, okay. So that year, and I say this with like, I'm I, I'm a former player. I've watched the games. I understand Service Academy football, and everybody has. I don't give a damn at West Point, Annapolis, Air Force. Everybody has blind spots. Like we're exposed in certain places. I could tell you that now that you're going to bring that up. The 19 team, whatever, or the 23 team that starts out 8-0. What you don't realize, what was the score of that game? It was
Oh,
close.
yeah. Which one? The
What?
Army game?
No, not the Army game, because I'm
Oh,
going to get to the Army game. I'm
oh
going to get
okay.
to it. I'm going to get to it because I'm going to upset my fan base. But this is like being a player, and I can talk about it because I knew this was going to happen. And you're going to love it. Why? Because this is why I can't hardly watch college football, because I mean, I immerse myself into the game. Like I understand it. And it's like, oh my gosh, that Sam Houston game, I think we won like 14-3. Like we scored two
Yeah.
touchdowns, right? Like it was something like, it wasn't the type of game that you would expect. Do you know why that is?
I honestly don't. No, I don't.
So everybody in college football now is playing with four hands in the dirt. So the magic number is I rush four and I play with seven in the secondary, what have you. Sam Houston had five hands in the dirt, whether they want to run a 50 defense with a nose guard, they were running shade eagle, but they had five hands in the dirt, and the offensive line up front, it created problems for them. They weren't getting the movement that they wanted with that fifth hand in the dirt. Everybody else from that point on until your beloved Black Knights show up in Mile High and punch them in the mouth had four hands in the dirt. All right. I called the coaches, one of the coaches, Coach Peterson, who was at Annapolis at one point. His son Brady played there, all the stuff, and he was back on staff. And I was like, and I called it. I said, man, it had a lot of the remnants. And when I say this, like I was happy for him. The five hands in the dirt, I knew created a problem because that should not have happened that way. So like there was something going on. It was the perfect storm. They're playing in Mile High. All right, we gave away a home game at Falcon Stadium to play, and luck be a lady. They're undefeated. I was reading all this stuff. They hadn't beaten a team that had a winning record like all the way through that run of 8-0. Okay. So like you have to be realistic. Like I can get caught up and I can be a homer for my Falcons, but you're like, all right, are we really that good? I can tell you as a fan, I had concerns. I woke up on the Army game because it reminded me a lot of the '03 season. Because what did I say early on? The service academies are different programs when there's an expectation, when you have to perform. Those poor kids had fallen into the same trap. We have social media now. I could not imagine what it was like. All of a sudden, you think you're pretty good. Everyone's telling you how great you are. And let's not forget, you are at a service academy for a reason. You're not that great, right? Like you have to be realistic. They thought they were really good. They thought all they were going to have to do was show up. And the next thing you know, the Black Knights had five hands in the dirt. They hit them, as we say, they pushed back a little bit. They got hit in the mouth. Then they started turning it over. And now they start pressing. And again, you can't press at the academies and expect to win. Like that's not the style of play. So I called it. I called it on game day. I said Army's going to win today, and I got a bad feeling in my stomach, and that's because. And it wasn't so much. It wasn't the players. Coach Calhoun, Troy does a really good job. Some people get mad about it of like keeping the players, out of it. I'm just telling you, like as a player, you're at an academy. Everyone's telling you how great you are. It's real easy to fall into the trap that you might be that good. West Point's not very good, and then it turns out what the Daily kid starts at quarterback, and I mean let's be realistic. That dude is a dude, and he played like a dude, and those things happen. So, yeah,
Yeah, I think it's interesting hearing you say that. Just as a former Falcon, because I remember telling my mom like just like looking at the LSU score. We were doing a field exercise at that time, and I just like took a break, stepped out, and I was like, yeah, mom, like I mean, I saw the LSU score. I'm like, looks like the good days are over. Like I told my words. I'm like we had a good run. Looks like the good days were over. Like when we lost 62-0 to LSU. Then the next week I was ready to give up on. I mean, not really give up on the season, but just be like more detached when we lost to UMass. And then the Air Force game came, and I will say I think that was probably a perfect storm for me as an Army fan because I love when any of the academies do good, but of course, like I don't care if Air Force and Navy go 11-1 as long as that one loss is to us. No offense, you know.
Well, that's how I feel about you guys. Like I could care less, you know. Like I mean, I don't want y'all to win. Y'all can go win every other game. Just don't, just don't beat us. That's all. That's fair, as it should be.
So like seeing you guys start 8-0 and everything, get ranked. It was like kind of like the perfect storm because it gave us our first AP ranked win, which was like I was on the couch and I'm like, God, is this real? Like, is this actually happening right now? Because I had seen us come so close so many years to beating an AP ranked team. So
Perfect storm, man. And it happens. That's why it's a great game. That's why you have to play the game because any given Saturday, that's just how, and it's still that way today.
yeah, absolutely. So going back to I guess your play style and your career. So Air Force has had just an amazing run of quarterbacks. Like you can go all the way back to like the '80s, but I'm just gonna start with like with the Morgan brothers, Mike Thiessen. I guess was there any kind of like pressure like following in the footsteps of those guys, or like is that something like was that a point of pride for you?
It was more of like an honor type thing, you know. And I know it's that way. It. I don't give a damn if it's Air Force, Army, or Navy. Like if you play quarterback, it's a big deal, right? Like it's a big deal. And the former guys that have played, I'm even if they're soon like you, again, I didn't realize that at the time. Now you say like the Air Force lineage of quarterbacks. Yeah, I was intimately familiar with Marty Latham, Bart Weiss, D. Dallas, then jumped to the Morgan brothers. I was there when Thiessen played. You didn't say Boyer, and I always say this to everybody. Boyer put together one of the greatest statistical seasons in option football history of all the, and nobody talks about it. I got to see that as a sophomore. I was like, damn, this guy's pretty good, you know? Like, and nobody talks about it, right? And I'm like, I mean, he could play too. And it's really interesting. It's just a crazy story. But I knew D. Dallas, especially he's a Royston, Georgia guy. God bless his soul. And I'm a Georgia guy, and D was on staff whenever I got recruited out there, and everybody's like, "Well, this is the gold standard." And I'm not gonna sit here and say like where I fall or don't fall. Hell yeah! Like at the Air Force Academy, I knew who all of those dudes were, and I knew that there was an expectation. And I will say this, and this was at the time of cell phones and everything else, and we call it the quarterback club, whatever you want to call it. I had access to all of those guys, and like would pick their brain, or they would like give you like a little 2 cents of like how they did things. Because again, for Coach DeBerry, we were the throttle guys on the offense, and then the whole idea of peak performance, how do guys get ready? Again, picking their mind. I had access to all those guys. We all know each other, and like we always laugh. Like you could take the 25 years of quarterbacks. And we're all built the exact same. I think Thiessen might be the tallest one, and he's got us all by like a half an inch, right? Like of all the Barry guys, and even Bart was tall. But it's like the same mold, the same build, same kind of personalities, and all that. And we all have like our own wrinkles of like how we did things. For me personally, it's kind of funny. Like I ended up with number 11. I wanted to be number one, and Coach DeBerry said absolutely not. So that's how I ended up with number 11, which is kind of funny. Um, but I wore number 12, and I was like, I'm not wearing uh, 6 or 12 because it was portrayed to me that those two, like depending on who you talk to, who's the better option quarterback. And I think my style of play or my build or how I played in the triple option favored more of like Bo Morgan, and that was kind of who I held my. I have all the weight stuff, we all do. Everybody has their weight room, and he was kind of like my gold standard because of like I kind of remember his numbers and like where you wanted to be. I was fortunate that I got to train with Bo. Bo was always out. He was trying to get on with the Cowboys. And if there was anyone, yeah, like Bo, I wanted my game to look a lot like Bo Morgan because I thought he was just D was D. D was the fastest guy on the field, and I was not the fastest guy on the field, right? And that's why, I felt like I want to be a lot like Bo, and that's where, like, in the weight room and everything, and it's pretty scary, like, how almost identical, like, our careers were, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, just an embarrassment of riches. I just looked up Keith Boye's 2001 season. Very impressive stuff. Like, I
Sick.
can't believe I didn't know that.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
And
Maybe I'll.
but I watched that, and that was, and he beat me out, and that's like and that was like the big deal, because now you're talking like lineage of quarterbacks, D Dallas and Bo Morgan prior to Carney, and Carney was at the end when before Coach Shabir and those guys got fired. That was why it was such a big deal to me, like starting as a sophomore. Bo and D played freshman sophomore year, sophomore more so, and then so they were basically 3 year starters, and I had that opportunity, and it was a big deal for me to play as a sophomore, and I did. I played in 6 games as a sophomore. Huge, man. It's just crazy, like looking back on it. So I
Yeah.
knew, I knew it was a big deal. How about that?
Yeah, like I think it's interesting you say that. I guess for me, like watching this Army team this year, where we're starting a first time starter as a senior at quarterback. So it's like at the positions, like it's a lot of guys don't get early starting time, but like for you to get time as a sophomore in an academy scheme, it's definitely like a huge like
Well,
undertaking.
and it was a huge undertaking, and that's where, the difference between me, myself, D, and Bo was I was a prep school guy, so I had played a little bit more football, uh, and for what it's not that it was complex, but then like it's a plug and chug model. Like you just look at Boye's numbers, like you didn't hear. All right, y'all, the daily kid, like I wanted to reach out to like Coach Moncton and just like call this kid and just be like, look, I ran the option, and like this dude plays the game exactly how I do, except like I didn't know what it would be like to weigh 220 pounds and just run like a boss, right? Like, I mean, daily, whenever he sees this, like, just let you know, like, I want to reach out and like, holy, like, yes, yes, like you have my mad respect, like just a hell of an option quarterback and tough as hell. Good God, tough as hell. So, the guy that's going to play behind him for you guys, he got to see that. Like that stuff carries on. Like then it becomes an expectation within the quarterback room. I'm going to tell you right now. I sat down with Thies and those guys last year at the academy. There's no rest for the weary, man. Like you got to play. Like, and that's how it was. I mean, it was that way when I was there. It's like, oh, great, yeah, you're the quarterback. No, 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 no. You got to play. Like, there's like an expectation of how you are going to approach the game, how you're going to play the game, because you are the quarterback at Air Force. Period.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, just like with all three of Army, Navy, and Air Force, right? Like the expectation of like the
Go
guys
call.
and
Go call.
girls.
Go call them all. Go call the run. Hell, it started with Paul Johnson and
Yeah,
Kay. I recruited him. He's a Hawaii kid. Navy's had a run of quarterbacks.
yeah,
All right,
yeah,
you guys have a run of quarter. Like you'll have a run of quarterbacks. Like it happens, and you can go call every one of those dudes, and they're going to say the exact same thing. This is how it is done here. Like this is the expectation.
yeah,
It's
yeah. No, I
funny.
mean, yeah, that's a great point. Uh,
Just and it comes with the territory. And what's absolutely crazy is you can sit us all down, and all of our personalities and how we see the game, or the confidence, however you want to call it, we are so much alike. It's scary.
I think that's a good segue to talk, I guess, scheme more because I know like you are a student of the game, obviously being a quarterback, and then throughout this conversation, just like how much like you just retained in terms of like your this the option and everything, like loving the scheme. So with Air Force, I guess just seeing Air Force play throughout like my childhood and up to now, like I've definitely seen like their scheme kind of evolve under Calhoun, where it's like as a kid it was kind of more flashy. They ran out of shotgun. It was a little bit of everything. They ran out of shotgun, ran a lot of Maryland eye, of course, ran your flex bone. Nowadays, it's kind of like back to the basics. So I kind of want to know your thoughts on how Troy Calhoun's evolved that scheme over the years.
Oh my gosh, Troy's probably one of the smartest X's and O guys on the offensive side, and um, uh, whenever you say he gets back to basics right now, a big reason why he does that, and I say this, it has to do with his guys up front. So like last year when they start out really like they're trying to figure out how to make guys' lives up front very easy. So you saw a lot of the just split, very vanilla formation. Let's try to run the option and not try to overwhelm his system. His system is way more complex than the one that Coach DeBerry had, and good or bad. Where Troy is Troy and Mike, like they've taken Fisher's flex bone and they've wrinkled in the zone blocking scheme, and that's where you get hat on hat, and they go get guys. He got real small a couple years, like early on. Is like, man, we got to get bigger up front because you're at the service academies. Your three interior linemen, your center and your two guard guys make it go. The tackles, you want them to be, to get on the next level. And whenever you have some guys that have, and I say 275 to 290 athletic guys, like you just can do God's work up front. Well, Troy has figured that out. And that's where he gets really good is like now you start going from a zone triple option to a zone off eye and run off tackle, and the defensive guys don't know, should I be taking the fullback right now? So it's an unbelievable wrinkle. And so whenever you say like evolved, he evolves with what he can do up front, if that makes sense. And again, that is a total. I'm a former player. I did not play for Troy. I haven't coached for Troy, but fundamentally, that's what I know he brought to the table, X's and O's wise, is getting on that zone blocking and going hat on hat. And whenever his guys up front and he can go zone blocking and run play action off of it, and then turn around and hit you with like a trap or an option type play, I would hate to be a defensive coordinator because you don't know which way it's coming from you, especially if he gets balanced. And that's why I have an affection for running the damn ball. As you hear, I love the coaches getting out there and all the big schools, they want to run it. Well, hell yeah, that's what we do at the service academies, and that's what makes it fun.
Yeah, I will say I think when I look at option schemes, I look more at the skills, honestly, and I like how Calhoun has made a feature back because I think it kind of reminds me like Nebraska in the '80s, where you have a feature back, right? They're not running straight eye, but the great backs they've had like in recent years, like I think like Anthony Lacoste is one, Chad Hall that was a big one early on in Calhoun Center, and then John Lee Eldridge very recently. Like I like that feature of it where it's like Army and Navy use like kind of like undersized slot receivers, and there's nothing wrong with that.
No.
And I'm sure that's how it was in the DeBerry scheme for you. But I think I do like that kind of feature back aspect that Calhoun has made. Has
Yeah,
a
and I would say that, and that's like the contrast because no two are going to be the same. You know, you run more of the triple, like take Daly, and I'm using him. You take the Keenan Reynolds, you take the guys, the quarterback being like the centerpiece of the offense. That's where you're seeing. Yeah, well, you're seeing it at West Point right now. It'll be interesting to see what happens with I think at Annapolis. But they want guys. They want their athletic quarterbacks. They want that. Again, I say this like gingerly and not in a bad way. Calhoun does like that aspect. He wants his quarterback not to turn the ball over and be smart, not go win the game, if that makes sense. So it's probably a little bit different. If he can get both, you're damn right. He wants it, but he does. I'm just telling you, he likes take the Denver Broncos in the early 2000s whenever he was up there. He likes to get that zone blocking scheme with his O lineman and start getting hat on hat, and he likes to run downhill and let the back find a play, and then let the quarterback get play action, get a little waggle, and get out in the open, and then start taking shots. You know, they're throwing the ball to take shots down the field and to move the sticks. You know, it's not a possession game; it's actually to move the ball, and it creates a lot of problems whenever he can have that featured back. Like I say,
Yeah, I mean it's great. I think this year, like the offense will improve again. There's plenty more experience, and then the skills, especially. There's plenty of experience in the skills.
yeah, and they played a lot of football last year. You know, that's the whole thing. And like I said, I kind of saw the turning point uh, in not being a homer. They should be really good up front this year. Those guys all played. They're all back. They're healthy, and they're good players. They're just young. When I say like young, I mean I think he started 4 of the last 5 games. It was sophomores and freshmen starting for the last like 6 games. They got to play a lot of football. I'm sure they had a great off season. You know, I'm a former player. I'm not. You know, they'll take care of business. You know, they'll be ready to play. And hell, I'm excited for them. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, hopefully you guys get back to bowl season, honestly, because it's great seeing the academies bowl. And I mean, honestly, it's just great seeing us like stick it to the power programs. Like you mentioned, the Virginia Tech game, like just play like being in a dogfight with Virginia Tech, like you guys were in the O2 San Francisco Bowl. I mean, it's just great just seeing the academies. And I know Air Force played or they beat three straight power conference teams in bowl games. So
Yeah, and they're always gonna they're gonna use those like the big schools. We're a big school too, right? Like I mean, I mean, and circumstance, it worked out really well, and it's great for the program. Like it is good because it's a remind. I mean, I played there. We played all these guys. They're ranked big boys, and I'm just telling you, like it doesn't surprise me. Like I'm not as shocked as the rest of college football comes off whenever we beat Washington State or whoever, like Baylor. Like that does not shock me. Like there's an opportunity out there, and we take advantage of those opportunities. And it's an expectation. Like good, we did what we're supposed to do. No surprises here.
yeah, exactly. I mean, and it's just so great to like talking specifically on bowls. Like you can tell that like we're getting to an era where like a lot of players, a lot of the best players and teams don't want to be there at bowls, but like darn right, our guys want to be at these bowl games, and we've seen it.
Sorry, Delta's calling me. My apologies.
No, no worries.
You there?
Yeah, yeah, I'm still here. Yeah, but I was saying that we've seen it. Oh, am I good? Can
Sorry.
you?
No, yeah, you're good.
Okay.
Yeah, no, you're good. Sorry.
Yeah, I was just saying that we've seen it like in these bowl games, like particularly like the Baylor game, like where it's like those guys just did not want to be there from the start. Coldest bowl game in history, and that's where we thrive. Our programs thrive where it's like you don't want to be here, what we do with these bowl games.
Yeah, and that's not going to change anytime soon. I mean, it just go back through the years. Yeah, overestimate the little guy. The big guy figures out they just got to a dogfight they didn't really sign up for, and then they get behind and then they start pressing and they start becoming predictable. And then it's like the old saying goes, like, well, I mean, I'm sure it runs rampant through everywhere. Keep chopping wood. Like, all you got to do is keep chopping, and the tree's going to fall at some point. And it's the formula. Don't beat yourself. I could run through like our list of like things of like be successful, and you do those things, and we're not surprised that we're beating your ass like at all. It's exactly what we said. If we do X, Y, and Z, this is what happens here. It's a program, it's a system. Cool. You just happen to be the next one in line. The next tree that we chop down. All right, cool. Thanks for playing.
Yeah, I think that's very well put. I mean, and we've seen it like, especially like recently in this renaissance with academy football. It's just been beautiful, honestly.
You're going to see it. You're going to see it in the regular season too, because I mean, take away the bowl game, it'll be interesting to see, because now teams are, with the playoff and everything else. It's hard to put Air Force, it's hard to put Army or Navy on the schedule, because when you lose, now all of a sudden it creates a lot of problems. And we'll see how it shakes out.
Yeah, we will indeed. So going on to the next topic. So no one ever likes seeing a record, that they set get broken. I know you had the quarterback touchdowns record in the season with 22 back in '02, but I guess, does it make you feel better knowing that three of the guys that broke your record are Service Academy guys?
Yeah, because you're just like, holy shit. I mean, like, I knew I scored a lot of touchdowns, right? Like, I mean, like, and it's a respectable number. Like, I'll just say that. And you're just like, all right, cool. And then, hell, I think I only scored like 12. And then, like, I mean, as a player, like, there's like a huge drop off. And you're like, all right, cool. All right, 22. Like, I'll never forget. I was in the desert. I was on a deployment, or was it, when did Tebow break the record? In '07?
'07, yep.
Okay, so in '09, while you were watching Dobbs break my record, that I was at Al Udeid Air Base, flying C-17s, and anyway, that same thing pops up, and then he breaks the record, and then here's Tebow and my mug over there, and everybody, in the deployment's just laughing. They're just like, "Oh, Chance, yeah, like of course," and I'm like, "Right," and it's like all you can do is just tip your hat, and you're just like. Man, like okay, like and then I'm a competitor, so you're just like, well, shit. They played out of conference. They're independent. They're playing defenses that don't know what the hell they're doing. But then like I'm like, all right, like that was like early on, early 2000. Chance would have said that, and now I'm like, dude, they got in the zone that many times. I don't give a like, it's just impressive, and I mean, they're big numbers. I mean, gosh. And it is. It's super cool, being a service academy. It makes sense that it is a service academy, Um, Again, just like mad respect, because I mean it's a lot of touchdowns. I mean 22 is a number, like there's not running backs that score 22 touchdowns, much less a quarterback. And then once you start hitting 30 and 31 and 30, like big. That means you're scoring three touchdowns a game, and like having a three touchdown afternoon kind of day, like that's a hell of a day. I don't give a shit who you are. So you start doing that math. And I say this, like I'll throw the asterisk out there. I scored 22 touchdowns without scoring in two games that year. So like I screwed myself out of potentially, being at 28 or something. But whatever, who cares?
Yeah, I mean it's honestly a great record. I don't really see it getting surpassed anytime soon. I'm just glad, even like seeing Ken Reynolds like break it in 2013, but like also looking back, like back to Ricky Dobbs, like back in the day, like looking back now I can appreciate it, that like, man, like that's a lot of touchdowns, and it put the academies like on like the national stage even more than they already were.
Oh yeah, for sure. Man, I'm a big fan. You're gonna touch on it. Success breeds success, right? Like it's kind of how it works. And they had a hell of a run that Annapolis did with their guys, and they're all great players. I mean, they're great option quarterbacks. I mean, Chris McCoy was the Navy guy that held the record whenever I broke it. And then you've got the outlier Tebow in there, but the top ten's all service academy guys.
Yeah, I mean, it's truly great to see us having that mark on the game, seeing our players have that mark on the game, our quarterbacks. Even, yeah, like going back to Chris McCoy, which it's just crazy that, I guess, the passage of time, you like to think that we're remembering these guys, but McCoy started it all for Navy before there was Perry, before there was Dobbs, before there was Reynolds and everyone else, and even Horvath too this year.
Yeah, I mean, but that's what's super cool, though, because the next guy is potentially that guy. You know what I mean? And that's welcome to programs and systems and everything else. And it just it'll you just never know.
Yeah, you truly don't. So
Uh-uh.
the last question I had, kind of a conference question. So, the new Mountain West. I know you're a big college football guy. Like, and I know you're probably tired of this whole Pac-12 Mountain West. I know I am. I'm just tired of the litigation, tired of everything. I just want to play ball. But I really feel like this is a conference. This new Mountain West is a conference that Air Force can, dominate in, win a bunch of conference titles. And really, I wouldn't say get on the map, but like I really feel like I like the future of the Mountain West for Air Force. I want to know your thoughts. I know Boise State's gone. I know a lot of the like big name programs of the Mountain West are gone in terms of like the Fresno State, and I think in your freshman sophomore year, you guys played Fresno State in the Silicon Valley Classic bowl game. Um, so I just want to know your thoughts on: are you excited for this new Mountain West? Are you tired of all the drama, or are you upset like that Boise's not there anymore?
Yeah, you know, uh, the history of the Mountain West is pretty spectacular. He got poached early on in '07, '08 timeframe with Utah getting yanked out to the Pac-12. And then, so whenever the first round of alignment started going on around the 10, 11, 12 era, what have you, TCU showed up after I was there. So they went to the Big 12. Utah ends up in the Pac-12. BYU goes independent. So then like the Mountain West like transformed like after its first decade, and you got to go back to there. That was the WAC, right? And the WAC, again, BCS trying to break in and be an at-large bid. The WAC and these certain programs thought that it would be best to align and make a power conference out of the WAC, out of the deal. That came to fruition when Utah, beats Pittsburgh, and they win, and they finish, and then they beat Alabama. Like, there's these out large, so there's these glimpses of like the ideas behind, or the why the Mountain West comes to fruition. You start seeing it pay off in the urban years, right? We get the at-large bid. You beat Pittsburgh one year, then a year later you go beat Alabama in the Sugar Bowl type deal. So, like, all right, that all makes sense. When we lost Utah and BYU, TCU, like it kind of changed. And I'm not going to say that it got softer or anything like that, but the competition, we and I were talking before the game in the early 2000s, like the inception. I think it took like 5 years to get an undefeated conference champion in the conference. It was a bloodbath, man. You had to go win on the road. And I'm going to tell you right now, like, it was just hard because just the way it worked out. And there's like just interesting rivalries or were within the Mountain West because we've all played each other for so damn long. There's no secrets, right? You kind of lost a little bit of that whenever everybody started like leaving. Okay, Boise's like the darlings of college football, and it's like going to come show up, and you're like, all right, like I mean, and I appreciate Boise State. Boise's not running away and winning 12 games a year with TCU, BYU, Utah, and having to go on the road, have to go play. There's all these I gotchas, right? Like type deals, and I say that again out of respect for Boise State. It's just a different gauntlet that you have to go run. Losing them like hurts. I'm just not a fan. Money, big TV contracts, and everything has probably ruined the college football game to a degree. And where I say that is like the purest of competition was at the college football level. Well, now you have TV contracts, you have NIL. It's let's call a spade a spade. It's a recruiting ground for the NFL. Like it is basically a minor league, not even close to being salary capped. It is the wild freaking West. All right. I don't know how long the Mountain West, stays relevant or solvent or any like I really I'm not a fan. How about that?
Okay, that's fair. And so I have seen, and I guess I'm rooting for the Mountain West to succeed. And I was kind of
I would, I
alarmed.
would, I would, I would love for them to succeed. I would. It's just the bigger question is like how is that profitable for the TV market, and that's what it comes down to. You know, the beauty of West Point and Annapolis, Eastern Seaboard, the viewing audience of college football. Once you get west of the Mississippi, everybody is more in tune with professional athletics, right? And then, I mean, I hate to say that, like the Pac 12 didn't even fight to maintain its conference alignment because the TV deals, well, where'd all the teams go? That's right. They went to the Big 12 and then to the Big 10. Why? For TV exposure.
Yeah.
Everybody forgot about the left coast, man, and they play football in the Rocky Mountains. They play football, type thing, but the TV contracts and
Yeah, I mean, so I'm glass half full with the Mountain West. I mean, as long it looks like CBS is still going to stay Air Force, Navy, Air Force, Army, so that's a good thing for Air Force.
no,
And
it's a great thing. I'm just saying, in the big scheme of things, though, it's like
yeah,
the American conference, like what big super conference is going to emerge? Because to me, that's where all roads are leading, and it's not necessarily going to be the Mountain West. It's going to be there's going to be like the SEC. There's going to be like basically four main conferences again that align to the stars, if that makes sense. I can see
yeah,
that angle coming.
yeah, I can too. I will say that there is always a seat for you in the American. I know that our leadership is waiting for you guys to do that, and I would love it. Honestly, I would
Well,
love it.
it would be. It makes a lot of sense, right? And that's where I say, like, an American Mountain West, like super conference, like there's going to be a merge somewhere because even in the NIL and even with the playoff spots and everything else, I mean, now that you've got basically the NFL, like these guys, any given Saturday, they're going to want to go play someone, but they don't want it to fall off competition wise because strength of schedule is still part of the formula.
Yeah,
All right. This is all treaded stuff, man. Like, and I say that because it goes back to my playing days. Like, this doesn't get talked about anywhere. This is when I get ejected at the Northwestern game and all this other stuff because the coach may or may not have punched me, and I may or may not have punched him back. I don't know, but I got tossed out of the game during that time. Everything had to do with again, strength of schedule. Well, the Big Ten at the time was looking at the Mountain West because it was the strongest, like, mid-major conference out there, right? So, like, their strength of schedule. So, this was hell. This is 25 years ago now. That the Big Ten guys at the table were just like, we want exclusive rights to the Mountain West, and there was talk of the Mountain West and the Big Ten playing their out of conference schedule. So everybody's strength of schedule was stronger by playing us. And that fell through. Like they're like Northwest and Air Force having beef is probably like not helping out the cause. And it blew up. But those talks had happened at some point. So then that's kind of like the game where we even the American, we're at the mercy of what the majors want to do and what that alignment looks like going forward. And it's all going to be TV dollars, and nobody gives a damn about the athlete. They just care about this, that, and the other. So be it.
yeah. I mean, I agree. Like it's really sad. Like I mean, just the TV money, which it's a good thing. Everyone getting exposure, but like
Yes, no, the exposure is great, and I mean, TV is that. I think it's more of like the primetime games that everybody's been grown up to, but then like the simple devices that you and I are talking on right now flips the script on anything because you and I could go watch the game, have commentary that have 100 million people watch our game, and then ESPN's like, well, how do I compete with the streamers? Well, there's so much access. I mean, that's where it's just like, I mean, you tell me, you want to go be a color guy at a game and like we could film it and have everybody else. I mean, that's the type of market that you're dealing with. So I mean, the TV is. It's hard to believe that you can say this. TV has limits, if that makes sense.
yeah, I agree. Like, and I've thought about this too. Honestly, sometimes it's like coming back from work, or like just think about football, like where it's like the games, like some of these games, like don't feel as special anymore. I mean, like just because you can watch any game in 2025.
I mean, that was
So
that was. I mean, okay. I mean, I'm a dinosaur, and it was like this for a long time, and it's to a degree the same way. But you would wait because now you're driving, viewership. You would have the first 4 weeks, ABC, CBS, and primetime slots. Like you always had like your games are going to play on CBS. You got your SC match out. You had your Big Ten, your Big 12, your Pac-12 matchup. Like you knew which ones were going to play. The first 4 weeks of college football was pretty much canned of like what you were going to watch. But then as the season started going down, well, you started getting TV. Like whenever I played, like we were on TV 10 of the 12 weeks because we were ranked in the country, So like and I say like earned our
Yeah.
the games that we were playing in were a big deal because not every game was watchable. If.
Yeah, exactly.
And
So
it's
I guess
completely it is a completely different world now.
yeah, it definitely is. I mean, I guess to wrap up on it, I mean, with the whole Mountain West thing, like I do expect you guys to win a conference title, like within honestly 5 years in the league. That's just my thoughts. I mean, I think it's a much more diluted league, and I think it's like I love bowl games, honestly. And I was on the record saying if Army were to go undefeated and win the American, like don't even put me in the playoff. I just want a bowl game, like, and we got the Independence Bowl, which I loved, very traditional bowl. So it's like I think winning conference titles, going to the LA Bowl or whatever bowl you have it. That's a good life, honestly. I don't think the playoff is everything it's cracked out to be for you know the group of five.
The only thing I'll say about the playoff is it gives light potentially to the Cinderella story. And then you're such a good fan for understanding that we are built differently. Like you can go back and talk, and I forget the year that Navy got the run and played in the American Athletic Conference Championship game. I think they played like 15 games that year, and then like for the next 3 years, they like had to lose it. They got the shit beat out of them, right? Like your roster starts getting depleted, so you might win or whatever, like early on, but you got to start playing all these games. Yeah, it's great. Like, I mean, it sounds really good. That is a whole nother level of like expectation on or asking that much out of the players. And that's where the depth will start showing its face real quick. Like, and that's what we talked about, offline earlier. I have no problem with the playoff for a service academy, dude. If Navy, Army, any one of the three service academies, like I would make it a point to be at the game because it's probably like the once in a lifetime deal to see it happen. How far can they run is how long can they stay healthy. And I've been around it, all three coaching staffs would say the same thing. They don't have the roster to go make a deep run. And that is being as real is. And it's not that you don't want it to happen. I would love for it, but I don't have four deep, I don't have three deep, 5-star guys that could, it's just not in the cards. And that's okay. It just, like you said, having a quality bowl game, I would bet you that 90% of the staffs at all three of the things would look at you and say they would never say that out loud because, of course, they want to get in the playoff and go win the title. But for their players, like for their development of their players or the longevity of their program, that's what they would want.
Yeah, and it's like a lot of the experiences too are just cool for like bowl game wise. Like I know you mentioned the Washington State game. Like I was at that game with my best friend from high school who went to the Air Force Academy, graduated.
Yeah.
Like we had a blast there. Like seeing Air Force play in an MLB ballpark, beat a Pac-12 team. Like that's cool. Same thing for Army too. Like I mean, I went to the like sometimes too. It's like you would love to see them win like those games. Or like I was at the 2020 Liberty Bowl for Army my first year, and I'm like, you know what? I don't like we lost, but this doesn't hurt as much because this is the Liberty Bowl, and you know, we played our hearts out against West Virginia. Of course, the players will say something different, but as a fan, it's like you know what, this was a good life this year.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I want them all three to end up in the playoff. Like I like it. I just don't know how long it runs. Like I like the opportunity. And I'm not going to backtrack. Like just the longevity. The kids, like if it's me playing, I want the big name. Like I just want one shot, and then can I do it 2 weeks in a row? Can I do it 3 weeks in a row? Can I do it 4 weeks in a row? Let me find. If I have the opportunity, I want to find out because I'm a competitor, and that's what the players want.
Yeah, I agree. So hopefully one day in our lifetimes it happens, honestly, and I'll put my bowl loving to rest. But I mean,
I
yeah, yeah,
I think it's not as far fetched as you believe.
I don't think so either. Honestly, like I think this year's a good year too. Like there's a lot of hype with this Navy team. Like I mean,
You and I were talking about this, and the reason why it's not so far off is that roster spots, like that sword cuts every. You go get paid, cool. Like it's great to get paid. You go from what 85 roster, 85 scholarship to 100. Was 105 now? 105 on scholarship.
yes,
All the big programs operate somewhere between 130 and 150 people dressed out. The extra 35 and 40 people don't exist anymore. All right, like all these bodies that used to be in your program aren't there anymore, and that's the side that like the fan or the sports pages aren't talking about or nobody's talking about. You can go sit down at the staff table at West Point. You can go sit down at the staff table, like you can go sit down at all three service academies, and you're just like there's players out there that want to come play that you develop. And I can speak for Air Force. Develop the player. The guys hit puberty late. They learn the system. We have, work it out. You buy in, and good things happen. Like type thing, and it's a maturation process. It's not a quick fix. And that's why you plug and chug and get it going. The big boys don't have all those bodies floating around. So I'm just telling you, like, it's very doable for us to see one of those three into a playoff spot and at large.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, everyone keeps decrying the end of Service Academy football, but we've just adapted and overcame. So
Everybody has said that Service Academy football is going to die,
yeah,
and it's not. Different types of kids, right? Like, I know this because I was a grad assistant before I went to go fly it. Like, we're recruiting. There's a certain fit. There's a certain fit for West Point. All right. There's a certain fit for Annapolis. Like, we're not all the same. Like, we all like, but we want similar type kids, and there's fits for those type of kids out there, and there's a lot more of those than you would believe. What? So you're gonna go chase money? Like, how about this? I can send you a picture. Like it's posted on Twitter or somewhere like that. I flew with Tim Jefferson at Delta. All right, okay. So TJ and I are flying, and you start doing the mathematical odds. All right, TJ's a prep school kid. I'm a prep school kid. TJ's a starter. I'm a starter. I'm a captain at Delta. He's a first officer at Delta. We both flew in the Air Force, man. Like we're talking like shit dreams are made of, right? Like where else does that happen? It ain't happening, my beloved Bulldog, like those types of things aren't happening. So then, like, I would challenge the 18-year-old, like, if I'm going to go recruit for that, it's like, cool, man, you want to go make $200,000 and go blow it all? Because I'm just being real. Like, uh, you give me 18, you give any one of us, anybody in the last 20 years, and you tell me you give yourself at West Point $200,000 in your back pocket, and you're like, I would be in jail or dead, right? Like, I mean, that's like how it would be, okay? Like, and I say that, like loosely, but it's just like, holy shit, like that is. There comes a lot of responsibility with that, that everybody just completely forgot about. Money's not everything you think it is. It creates pressures, there's expectations, yada, 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 yada. Well, you don't have that problem at our school. All right. You don't have that problem, and you're not going to blow all this. Maybe a cool story. I like my stories too. All right. I've got my career. My career is awesome. My life does not suck. All right. And I didn't get paid. And there's so much more to football and athletics than the mighty dollar.
yeah. I think that's a great profound point to kind of end on, honestly, in terms of the benefits of academy football and just going to the academies in general. So
Yeah, I'll share this and I'll shut up. Coach Bell recruited me when I got recruited to go out there, and he just told me point blank, and he like held up like imaginary set of keys, and he's like, "You come out to school here, and they're gonna hand you these keys, as you graduate from the academy." And I was like, "Yeah, cool." And he's like, the keys to success, man. Like anything that you want to do it with your life, like you can do that because you went to school here. Like, and you don't understand that. And I was told that at 18 years of age and didn't really understand that. And, you know, 20 plus years later, graduating from the school, life, everything else. I mean, you have friends, I have friends. Like, there's nothing we can't do or haven't done. Give me a career field, give me something. And so the keys to success are afforded to you, and what that is up to you. But there's no opportunity that's insurmountable, if that makes sense. Graduating from the service academies, and that is as true as it is. And I remember it like yesterday whenever he told me that.
Yeah, like I mean, as still a young old grad of 4 years now. I mean, I'm starting to hear like I hear like kind of mystical stuff about the alumni networks, you know. So, but
It's
I've seen old grads talk
it's
about it.
it's it exists.
Yeah, so yeah, like I'm excited, honestly. Just as I continue on in age, just experiencing that. But I think that wraps up everything. Chance, do you have anything else you want to close on? Anything else you want to say? Like this has been a pleasure. I've really enjoyed this.
Oh man, to the guys out there that are thinking about it, you know, I got to go fly C-17s, got to go see the world, got some unbelievable friendships, academy and not. Um, the juice is worth the squeeze.
Yeah, I think that's pretty well put. I mean, I can definitely agree. Not as like broad experiences as you just yet, but I mean, it's worth it. Looking back, it's worth it. Like, yeah,
It gets better. Like it's just they're all three probably great places to be from. You don't really appreciate it at the time, but once you get out of it, you can start to appreciate it, and it starts to make sense as to why they are the way they are.
yeah, absolutely. Well, Chance, thank you for joining. I know it's
Omar,
late
what a
out
pleasure,
there.
man! How awesome! How awesome to meet you in the internet world, in the
Yeah,
interwebs, if you will. And then here we are. So good stuff, brother. Good stuff.
yeah. So
Sorry,
thank you. Oh,
everybody's trying
it's
to
all
call me.
good. So thank
That's
you again,
Delta.
Chance. Thank you again, Chance. I really
Oh, sorry, you're.
appreciate it. Oh,
Are you there? Sorry about that.
yeah. Just close out. Am I good? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you now. Sorry, Delta's
Okay.
calling me. I gotta go make money.
Thank you again, Chance, for joining us. It's really been a pleasure. I'd love to definitely keep in touch. And until next time, everyone, thanks for joining. And I mean, if you haven't seen before, us like between the service academies, we can get along. It's not all you see on like Twitter and X, all this infighting and everything. We do get along. And hope you enjoyed this. And until next, everyone, peace, love, and soul, Burger Popper.